This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
They have to decide if they believe me, right? She says. Yes, but as I explained before, the other evidence acts to corroborate the history behind the events of that night. It gives context to your actions, I say. I get that. May I see my statement again? Sure. I get it out of the pile and give it to her. She leans over and reads it, and I read another copy of it that's in the file. I know it backwards. The narrative I've given to the broken word she murmured to me as we sat together in Jasper's, an account far removed from the half-truths she told me when we first met. I've studied it so much it's ingrained in my memory. The early stages of their relationship, the way the violence began, slowly, insidiously, the injuries, minor and major, the indignities, the undermining, the spitting and scratching and pulling at her hair and at her most sensitive triggers of shame and humiliation. The time she covered a black eye with makeup and said she'd bashed it on the car door. The excuses she made to her friends, to her doctor, to the other parents in James's class. How she had tried to protect James from it through the years, to keep him away from Edwin's anger, and to carry the brunt of it herself. I couldn't protect James any more. He was getting too big, taller than me, closer to Edwin's height. Edwin couldn't cope with having another man in the house. There was one time, at the beginning of May this year, when James stood up to him about something. I can't remember what. James went out and Edwin turned on me, slapping me and saying that I was turning James against him, that James was out of control and he needed to be taught a lesson. I thought I'd managed to talk Edwin down from his rage, said that of course James respected him. But when James came home that night, Edwin punched him to the floor and kicked him a couple of times. I pulled him off, but I knew it was only a matter of time before it happened again. I sent James off on sports camps for nearly the whole summer holiday, and when he went back to school in the autumn, I thought things would be all right, at least for a while longer. But he insisted on coming home that weekend for the party. I tried and tried to put him off, but he wouldn't listen. Edwin said he was going to be away for work, and I stopped worrying so much, but the trip was cancelled at the last minute. I told him on the Thursday that James would be coming home for the weekend, and he was so angry. Said the house wasn't a fucking kindergarten. Those were his exact words. What the fuck did you arrange that for? The house isn't a fucking kindergarten. I'm not paying the fees for him to go to boarding school when he's never there. I tried to calm him down, but he wouldn't listen to me. Well, I'm fucking well going out tomorrow, he said. James arrived home on the Friday around 7. Edwin did go out, and I felt very relieved. I made a fish pie for James, and we ate together and watched some TV. James went to bed at around 10:30, and I stayed up watching a film. Edwin came in at around midnight. He was drunk, and when he smelt the fish pie he went mad, accusing me of stinking the house out deliberately. He stormed down to the kitchen. I followed him, not knowing what he was going to do, and as soon as we were both in the kitchen, he picked up the fish pie dish from the side and threw it at me. I dodged, and it hit the wall. It didn't break, but what was left of the pie slopped out onto the floor. Edwin grabbed me and forced me down to the ground and pulled me across to the mess, and then he pushed my face into the food. It got up my nose and into my mouth, and it was difficult to breathe. Bits of egg and sauce and smoked haddock. The smell was disgusting, and I wanted to be sick. I struggled to break free, but he leant more heavily on me, and it was getting harder and harder to get any air. My neck and shoulders were really hurting. Just when I thought I was going to suffocate, he got off me. I started to sit up, but he screamed at me to eat it up, saying, "Clear up the fucking mess you've made, you fucking bitch." I leant over and started eating. When Edwin's like that, there's no point arguing. You just have to do what he says. Madeline's paused over that section. I can see from the page she's holding. It made me pause too, when she told me about it in the wine bar. To me, she's the epitome of poise. Every time I've met her, she's been immaculate. Patrick told me this too, that even when he saw her in prison, she managed to look groomed. trying to imagine her on her knees, eating spoiled fish pie from the floor. It's a task almost beyond me. She sighs and continues reading to herself.